On the open savanna, where hunters are expected to dominate, the balance can shift without warning. Horns, built for protection, can suddenly drive the predator off course. Each standoff tightens into a critical moment where a single move decides everything. In these brief, high-pressure seconds, the pursued turns into a force that can challenge the hunter itself. In the low grass where the wildebeest herd moves slowly, each individual maintains a safe distance to observe their surroundings. Wildebeest are often considered typical prey for lions, but they are not entirely passive. Their curved, outward-pointing horns, seemingly for defense, can actually be effective weapons when used correctly. And when a lioness approaches, the challenge begins. The lioness approaches with low, steady steps, then suddenly accelerates when close enough. The charge forces the herd to scatter in an instant. However, the targeted individual doesn't flee immediately. It turns its head at the right angle, lowers its horns, and counterattacks with powerful, sweeping, sideways thrusts. These collisions force the lioness to pause to avoid serious injury. The wildebeest's horns, when swung in the right direction, generate enough force to deter the predator. After a few tense moments, the lion is forced to retreat. The wildebeest quickly creates distance and rejoins the herd. The confrontation ends without either prey being killed. Even species often considered docile are capable of fighting to protect their lives. In nature, survival instincts sometimes turn prey into formidable opponents. In the dry land near the swamps, African buffaloes stand in groups, their massive bodies and horns forming a sturdy shield in front of their foreheads. An adult can weigh over 1,500 pounds, possessing enough force to jolt a predator. When separated from the herd, it becomes the target of a pride of lions silently encircling it, and the encounter quickly becomes fierce. The lions simultaneously charge from multiple directions, trying to dislodge the buffalo. The struggle is intense and prolonged. While being held tightly, the buffalo suddenly turns and delivers a powerful headbutt. One lion is struck and thrown to the ground, forced to retreat in pain. However, the collective pressure ultimately weakens the buffalo. The lions bring down their prey after several tense minutes. But one individual in the group suffers serious injury from the final counterattack. Victory doesn't come without a price. The hunt ended with the prey subdued, but the lesson was clear. Even when restrained, a buffalo can still deliver a dangerous counterattack. In nature, a predator may win, but it is never completely safe from the sharp horns of its opponent. On the vast open field, where the elephant herd moves slowly, the mother elephant always keeps her calf in the center. Her long tusks point forward, her large body forming a living wall shielding against all approaches. Upon sensing the presence of lions at the edge of the field, the group immediately tightens its formation. This close-knit arrangement quickly becomes a challenge for the predator. A group of lions moves in an arc formation, trying to separate the calf from its mother. They don't chase, but only move in small steps to cover any escape routes. However, the distance between mother and calf remains constant. The mother elephant constantly turns, keeping her tusks pointed directly at the threat. When a lion tries to get closer, the mother elephant lowers her head and steps forcefully forward. The thrust from her large body forces the lion to dodge immediately. Unable to find a safe opening to attack, the lions gradually slow down and retreat. The hunt ended without any young animals being separated from the pack. Many hunts begin with separating prey from the group. But when cohesion is maintained absolutely, the predator's chances are almost zero. In nature, collective strength is sometimes an insurmountable boundary. On the dry, windy sands, the Oryx stood firm with its long, straight, spear-sharp horns. Unlike many other antelopes, the Oryx tended to confront danger directly rather than flee immediately. When a lion silently approached from behind, the distance between predator and prey quickly narrowed. The lion suddenly leaped onto the prey's back, trying to grip and disorient it. But the Oryx did not panic. It lowered its head and swept its long horns backward, directly attacking the aggressor. These precise sweeps forced the lion to dodge and reduce the pressure of its attack. The struggle lasted only a short time. When it could no longer maintain a safe position, the lion was forced to jump to avoid serious injury. The Oryx took advantage of that moment to create distance and maintain a defensive stance. The hunt ended without either prey being killed. Unexpected counterattacks from prey can disrupt the predator's entire strategy. In harsh environments, long horns are not only a defensive tool, but also a crucial element for survival. Near the edge of the pasture where the buffalo herd was protecting its newborn calf, the mother buffalo always held the front position, with her thick, curved horns like a living shield. The calf was weak, slow-moving, and easily targeted. When a leopard silently appeared at the edge of the bushes, the tranquility began to waver. The leopard lunged out unexpectedly, aiming straight for the nearest calf. But the mother buffalo reacted almost instantly, lowering her head and charging forward with a powerful goring. Her sharp horns swept across, forcing the leopard to change direction and retreat into the bushes. Undeterred, she tried to approach another calf, but the entire herd closed in and counterattacked even more fiercely. The confrontation ended when the leopard was forced to retreat. In its escape, its hind leg was severely injured by the goring from behind. Movement became difficult, and for a lone predator, a leg injury could mean long days without hunting. Sometimes hunger forces predators to take risks, but the price to pay can be enormous. In the dry land where a mother rhino walks slowly beside her calf, her thick skin and large horn always pointing forward as a warning. The calf occasionally retreats close to its mother's body when sensing unusual movement from afar. A group of lions observe from a safe distance, waiting for the opportune moment when the young one separates from the protective circle. When a lion approaches closer, the calf instinctively recoils. The mother rhino immediately turns to locate the threat. She lowers her head and lunges straight forward with a powerful thrust from her shoulder. The lion is forced to dodge to the side to avoid a direct collision. Just one accurate butt could cause broken bones or serious injury. Realizing the risk outweighs the benefit, the lions gradually retreat. The mother rhino continues to stand in front of her calf, not leaving her position until a clear distance is established. The hunt does not take place. In nature, there are limits that predators understand very well. When the danger is too great, their survival instinct makes them give up. And faced with the protective power of the mother rhinoceros over her offspring, the lion chose to retreat. In the open grassland, gazelles move silently but always alert, their slender, sharp horns pointing forward. They are renowned for their ability to change direction quickly to escape predators. However, when a cheetah appears in the distance and begins to accelerate, the safe space quickly shrinks. The cheetah charges forward at incredible speed and soon closes in on its prey. As it prepares to take it down, the gazelle suddenly lowers its head and rams directly into the predator's belly. The impact forces the cheetah to a halt. The gazelle counterattacks a few more times before creating distance. The cheetah is injured in the abdomen and unable to continue the hunt. For a predator that relies entirely on speed, injury can be more dangerous than hunger. It is forced to stop and let its prey escape. In nature, a desperate prey can still inflict significant damage on its predator. In every clash, those horns are more than protection, they assert a claim to survive. The hunter may bring strength and experience, yet it can never move without danger. Each resistance underscores how survival hangs on a fine balance between advancing and overreaching. And across the wide savannah, order is shaped not just by power, but by the boundaries every species must recognize. On the vast savannas, hyenas don't wait but actively initiate attacks. They closing in step by step and maintaining constant pressure. From surrounding a lone lion to seizing control of a food source, every confrontation is direct. This series of moments demonstrates how collective pressure can change the course of events in just a few short minutes. In the open grassland, a herd of wildebeest moved closely together in a steady rhythm, keeping their young in the safest position. This close bond created a natural defense, but even a momentary slowdown in the calf was enough to spread the formation apart, and that pause was quickly detected. From the edge of the herd, a hyena accelerated with a clear objective. It headed straight for the smallest individual, closing the distance step by step. The mother's reaction was almost instantaneous. She turned sharply and advanced, blocking the approach with a resolute defensive posture. The pace changed abruptly. The hyena slowed down, realizing its initial advantage was gone. The distance was re-established, the calf retreated close to its mother, and the opportunity that had opened was quickly closed. The encounter ended in a brief but clear tension. A mother's protective instinct doesn't stem from calculation, but from a powerful survival reflex. On the savannah, that instinct can turn the tide in seconds. On the edge of the grassland, a lone leopard stands beside its recently captured meal. Weighing between 90 and 160 pounds, the leopard relies on its stealth and ability to spring into action in a highly competitive environment. However, before the meal is even safely secured, the situation begins to change. Two hyenas appear from behind and advance toward the food source. They approach cautiously, maintaining a safe distance to create pressure. The leopard retreats, observing and waiting for an opportunity to react. At locations where carcasses are found, field statistics show that hyenas dominate in about 70% of contested cases. When one hyena gets closer, the leopard tries to hold its position for a few seconds. But faced with the steady coordination of its two rivals and the risk of being surrounded, it chooses to leave the area. The hyenas take complete control of the meal. This confrontation reflects a clear strategic difference. Leopards excel at ambushes and controlling confined spaces, but hyenas are superior at finding food thanks to their endurance and coordination. In direct competition, numbers and team discipline often determine which side survives. In the open grassland, a pack of African wild dogs stood around their recently acquired food after a long chase. Weighing between 40 and 70 pounds, they relied on their coordinated movements to gain an advantage over long distances. Before the atmosphere had even settled, silent gray figures approached from the edge of the bushes. Two hyenas appeared, moving slowly but steadily. They maintained their distance, observing and clearly defining their roles. One stood slightly ahead, creating psychological pressure, while the other moved closer to the food source. With the addition of hyenas behind, the space narrowed.
He snapped him on the nose.
The wild dogs regrouped, signaling and trying to maintain their position. However, they were better suited to pursuit than close-range confrontation. Under increasing pressure and the increasingly tight hyena formation, their resistance became less effective. Finally, the wild dogs left the area to avoid unnecessary risk. The atmosphere gradually calmed down as the gap was re-established. This encounter highlighted the difference between long-range tactics and positional control. When food became the focus, team discipline and the ability to maintain pressure determined which side would remain in the game. On the low grass, still echoing with hurried breaths, a cheetah stood beside its prey, recently subdued after a brief burst of speed. Cheetahs are renowned for their explosive speed, but their stamina quickly diminishes after a successful hunt. In that brief moment of recovery, danger begins to appear. A hyena advanced directly toward the food source with decisive strides. Without a long chase, it applied direct pressure before the cheetah had fully recovered. Facing the risk of a prolonged confrontation, the cheetah retreated and maintained its distance. The prey quickly fell under the hyena's control. Having achieved its objective, it did not prolong the conflict, but maintained a vigilant position. In the competitive savanna landscape, hyenas often stand over cheetahs at food points, but they must remain cautious of larger rivals. In the dry grassland, a lone adult male lion stands on the edge of its territory. Weighing approximately 550 to 575 pounds, it outnumbers the individual hyenas, each weighing only 110 to 130 pounds. But its weight advantage doesn't guarantee safety, as the gray shadows begin to silently close the circle. More than 30 hyenas advance in a curved formation, their distance shrinking with each step. They don't attack in a rush, but maintain a constant harassing rhythm, closing in and then retreating, keeping the pressure steady. This persistent movement forces the lion to constantly shift its position, depleting its energy over time. When a hyena gets too close, the reaction is instantaneous. The lion spins sharply, locking onto its target and launching a counterattack to the neck. The opposing formation falters, creating a brief but crucial gap for the male to regain its position and make a retreat. After a tense moment, the two sides separated, moving away from direct contact. This confrontation was not just a test of strength against numbers, but also a test of team discipline. Collective pressure can shake even the strongest individual, but a small misstep can instantly reverse the outcome. On the dry, cracked ground of the savannah, an adult zebra stands slightly apart from the herd after a long journey. Zebras usually rely on speed and powerful kicks to defend themselves while maintaining distance. But as their mobility diminishes, that advantage is no longer intact. A pack of hyenas recognizes this sign and begins to close in layers. They don't launch a full-scale attack immediately, but take turns approaching, maintaining constant pressure. When the zebra no longer has enough space to accelerate or turn to react, the encirclement gradually closes. The attrition pressure takes effect minute by minute. Without the ability to accelerate or build momentum for defense, the prey gradually loses control of the situation. The confrontation ends when the hyenas completely control the situation. In nature, when mobility is limited, chances are almost non-existent. On an open field in the middle of the savannah, a herd of buffalo stood in a tight circle, sensing unusual movement around them. The adults held the outermost positions, heads facing outwards, forming a collective defense. Within this formation, no individual was separated from the herd. More than 50 hyenas appeared and moved in various directions, trying to find a gap to split the formation. They approached and then changed direction constantly, creating pressure from multiple sides. However, whenever a direction was pushed forward, the buffalo immediately adjusted, maintaining a uniform distance and not revealing any individual target. After several minutes of maintaining pressure without creating a separation, the hyenas gradually slowed their approach and withdrew from the area. The defensive formation remained intact. The confrontation ended without any individual being isolated. Unity had completely neutralized the splitting tactic. In the dusty, open expanse of the prairie, a honey badger moved slowly, making no attempt to evade. Honey badgers are much smaller than hyenas, but are known for their thick skin and fierce defensive reactions. The hyena approached, attempting to pressure it with a series of close steps. The honey badger did not back down, turning to face it and maintaining a ready stance, noticeably slowing the approach. After a few seconds of hesitation, the hyena slowed its pace and retreated to a dangerous distance. The encounter ended quickly, reminding us that some small targets carry high risks that predators are unwilling to take. In the deep forests and sprawling grasslands of North America, wild cats don't just watch and wait. The camera captures the moment when the silence is shattered by a precise and explosive pounce. Each attack is a combination of speed, calculation, and extreme biological limits. These are moments that show the predatory instinct reaching its peak of focus and determination. The bobcat is a wild cat species widely distributed throughout North America, from the dense forests of the east to the arid deserts of Arizona. An adult typically weighs between 15 and 35 pounds, with a body length of about 2 to 3 feet, not including its characteristic short tail. Its pointed ears with black tufts of fur enhance its hearing in dense environments. Unlike other large cats that live in packs, the bobcat is solitary and relies entirely on its ability to camouflage itself. Its excellent eyesight in low light allows it to hunt at dawn and dusk. Its diet mainly consists of rabbits, squirrels, and ground birds, but when necessary, it can take down prey many times larger than itself. The bobcat's success doesn't come from its size, but from its agility and ability to adapt its tactics to the terrain. In the North American ecosystem, it plays a controlling role in small animal populations. This is clear evidence of the power of enduring adaptation in nature. Along the edges of forests and sparse grasslands, the bobcat moves close to the ground with constant vigilance. Weighing only 2 to 4 pounds, its long ears and instantaneous reflexes allow it to detect danger very early. Its high reproduction rate ensures a constant replenishment of the population, although survival rates aren't always stable. The bobcat takes advantage of its good eyesight in low light and moves slowly close to the ground. It follows the bush, keeping its body low to avoid revealing its approach path. Instead of sprinting early, the bobcat waits until the distance is close enough to minimize the possibility of a zigzag escape. When the rabbit detects danger and begins to change direction rapidly, the bobcat doesn't pursue in a straight line. It accelerates briefly and intercepts at the point of intersection. A precise pounce on the nape of the neck ends the hunt quickly. This reflects an efficient and energy-saving approach strategy. Rabbits rely on their large numbers and high reproductive rate to maintain their population. Bobcats play a role in regulating that density. In the ecosystem, both exist in a balanced cycle. White-tailed deer are common herbivores in North American forests and grasslands. Adults can weigh between 100 and 300 pounds, are fast-moving, and highly alert. However, fawns in their first few weeks rely heavily on camouflage and the reflex to lie still when threatened. The bobcat rarely confronts a strong adult. It observes areas near water sources and dense brush where fawns often hide. Instead of a long chase like a wolf, the bobcat waits until it is close enough to act decisively. Once the location is identified, the approach is quick and precise. A lock to the neck reduces resistance and shortens the struggle. The hunt ends before the mother deer can create a safe distance. A fawn can provide food for several days, meeting the bobcat's needs of about 2 pounds per day. This situation reflects a strategy of selective targeting based on the prey's life cycle. In nature, energy efficiency dictates the direction of all actions. In the dense forest canopy, the gray squirrel almost completely dominates the space above the ground. With leaps of 10 to 13 feet and agile changes of direction, they are rarely caught while still in the branches. But each time they descend to the ground to forage, that safe zone narrows considerably. The bobcat maintains a low position at the edge of the clearing, hidden in the dry leaves and shade. It doesn't move constantly, but waits for the right moment when the squirrel is concentrating on digging. The distance is shortened step by step, limiting the prey's ability to zigzag on the ground. When the opportunity arises, the bobcat lunges with a short, precise acceleration. The squirrel tries to head towards the nearest tree trunk, but the small gap is enough to decide the outcome. The hunt ends quickly, thanks to the meticulous preparation. This case illustrates that each species has its own advantage depending on the terrain. Squirrels dominate the treetops, while bobcats control the ground. Success belongs to the individual who knows how to choose the right space and act when the probability is almost certain. On the edges of forests and open grasslands of North America, coyotes appear as persistent and unpredictable adversaries. Weighing between 20 and 50 pounds, they move in pairs or small groups, always closely following potential food sources. As resources dwindle, the competitive pressure between predators intensifies. Tenseness builds around a carcass left over from the previous night. A young coyote approaches closer than it's safe to. The bobcat observes silently, its body slowly lowering, then suddenly erupts with a concentrated lunge to the neck to gain the advantage from the very first moment. The coyote staggers and recoils, the surrounding space becoming heavy for a few brief seconds. The bobcat maintains just enough pressure to assert control. Upon noticing movement in the distance, it proactively moves away from the point of impact rather than prolonging the confrontation. This development illustrates the fine line between asserting one's position and avoiding risk. Bobcat acted decisively when opportunities were clear, but did not let conflict spiral out of control. In nature, true character lies in the ability to stop at the right moment. In the daylight of the North American woodland, wild turkeys move constantly but remain vigilant. Their weight of 8 to 20 pounds provides them with considerable energy, but their keen eyesight allows them to detect danger very early. Only when they leave their safe, high vantage point and step into open space does the level of risk begin to increase. The bobcat maintains its distance and patiently observes. It doesn't rush, waiting for the moment its prey lowers its head to forage and separates from the group. Its body is lowered, each step slow and deliberate, its heart rate steady before acting. The distance narrows to its limit. In a few brief seconds, the bobcat explodes with speed, leaping over 10 feet to block the bird's flight path. The precise pounce causes the bird to lose momentum before it can regain its altitude. The struggle ends quickly. The result reflects the difference in just a moment. Bobcat's success depends entirely on timing and the prey's distraction. When conditions align perfectly, opportunity is transformed into success. In nature, small differences in reaction times can determine the entire outcome. Bobcats are solitary animals with territorial ranges ranging from about 1 to over 75 square miles, depending on prey density. These boundaries are not fixed. As the breeding season begins from February to April, pressure to protect space and breeding opportunities increases significantly. Encounters typically begin with growling, puffing up fur, and circling to assess the opponent. Most conflicts remain at the level of intimidation. However, when neither individual retreats, the distance quickly narrows and direct confrontation occurs. Attack focuses on the face and neck, accompanied by clawing with hind claws to gain an advantage in the first few seconds. Both understand that deep wounds can lead to infection and prolonged weakness. After a brief struggle, the weaker individual retreats from the area. This is an internal battle for territory, food, and genetic transmission opportunities. There are no absolute winners, only individuals who temporarily hold a position. In nature, survival is not just about hunting, but also about maintaining the necessary space to continue existing. In the vast ice, the polar bear emerges with a body of more than 1,200 pounds and a strong attack instinct. Every movement can explode into a decisive charge. With its sense of smell detecting prey from afar, it chooses the right moment to strike. In just a few seconds, the power of the predator on the ice is evident: fast, neat, and powerful. In a deserted camp near the coast, sled dogs stand in a circle, their thick double coats so cold-resistant that they can withstand temperatures below -60 degrees Celsius. Their keen sense of smell helps them detect the presence of bears from afar, and they immediately become alert, coordinating in groups to keep the area safe. A hungry polar bear enters the human settlement, attracted by the smell of food. The dogs rush around it, barking loudly to prevent the bear from going further. They are brave and agile, but the opponent in front of them has superior strength. The bear only needs one strong swing of its leg. The surprise attack breaks the defensive circle. The remaining dogs are forced to retreat, continuing to bark warnings, but cannot prevent the bear from reaching the food source. In the moment the snow dust fell, the difference was clear. Despite its bravery and loyalty, the Arctic dog was outmatched by the bear's sheer strength, and the confrontation was over in seconds. Far out on the ice edge, the water is unusually calm. A pod of belugas is moving slowly, looking for a way out of the shrinking ice. Each weighs between 1,000 and 1,500 kilograms, with fat accounting for nearly 40% of its body mass, a huge energy reserve for polar bears during the long melt seasons. Without a dorsal fin, belugas can easily slip under the ice, but are easily trapped in shallow ice traps. A young beluga has slowed down and become stuck near the edge. It must repeatedly resurface through a small air hole. It is this repetition that attracts the attention of a polar bear wandering nearby. It immediately lowers its body, moves to the edge of the ice, and stands still, listening for its prey's every breath. When the beluga surfaced again, the bear slammed into the water's edge, sending the small whale reeling. In that moment, it struck the head and neck, a weak spot its instincts had learned over years of watching the beluga pods migrate. The beluga struggled to break free, but the bear blocked its escape. Within seconds, the animal was pulled onto the ice long enough for the bear to feast on over the next several days. Though not a common prey species, beluga have become a rare lifeline in years of rapid ice loss. And in this moment, the bear's patience paid off with a complete victory. In the cold northern regions, a pack of Arctic wolves was circling the remaining prey after a difficult hunt. They were organized, territorial, and every bite was precious because their success rate was only about 20%. A male polar bear approached, attracted by the scent of the remaining prey. With a strong sense of smell, it easily located the location from a distance. The wolves were in large numbers, but the bears were large. Both sides immediately formed a confrontational stance. The wolves circled around, growling low, trying to protect their spoils. The bear took another step forward, standing tall to show its power. The wolves joined forces to charge forward, forcing the bear to dodge to the side, but just one strong swing of the head was enough to cause the wolf formation to break apart. The tug of war only lasted a few moments. When the wolf was forced to retreat, the bear stepped in to take the remaining food. There was no bloodshed, just a battle of wits and courage. One side relied on numbers, the other on sheer strength. At the foot of the snow-capped mountains, two polar bears suddenly faced each other on a rare piece of land with food. Although they lived alone, each encounter could lead to a fierce collision. These conflicts usually stem from three causes: fighting for mates, competing for food, and shrinking space as the ice melted. An older male was holding the old prey. From a distance, a younger male approached, walking cautiously. Both stood upright, turning around to explore, the air growing heavier with each breath. Then suddenly, they rushed at each other. Strong shoulder thrusts, heavy slaps echoed in the cold snow. They wrestled, retreated, then advanced, each movement using maximum strength. Experience gave the older male the upper hand. It pushed its opponent back, step by step, slowly but surely. Finally, the child was forced to give up, retreating between exhausted breaths. In the shrinking cold land, polar bears not only have to confront prey, but also their own kind in the fight for survival. In the thick fog that covers the sea ice, a herd of walruses huddles close together. Each weighs nearly 1,500 kilograms, has 6 inches of fat, and skin so tough that predators' claws are almost useless. Their tusks, up to 3 feet long, form a living wall of defense when they gather in groups. A male polar bear slowly approaches. He knows. A single adult walrus can provide enough energy to keep him going for weeks. But he also knows this is the most dangerous target in this frozen world. The bear chooses a female who is protecting her calf. He tries to approach from behind, avoiding direct contact with the sharp tusks. But when he attacks, the walrus's thick hide does not budge. The walruses immediately formed a circle, then retreated en masse into the sea, where they had an absolute advantage. In a moment of chaos, the bear pounced on a slow-footed individual. But the walrus's enormous weight dragged the bear across the ice. In just a few seconds, the prey escaped into the deep water, where it could not pursue. The bear stood still, breathing heavily. The moment of hunting passed quickly. The benefits were too great, but the risks were too high. With walruses, the odds were usually in the bear's favor, and this hunt ended in failure. On the snow-covered plains, a herd of caribou is traveling thousands of kilometers each year. Their thick fur and large claws help them balance on the snow, while their stamina allows them to run at high speeds to avoid predators. With the lack of seals, polar bears are forced to turn to other options. A male bear spots a caribou herd from afar and begins closing the gap. He can run nearly 40 kilometers per hour and swim dozens of kilometers, making his hunting tactics much more agile than his slow appearance suggests. The bear targets a cub that has lagged behind the herd. With just a few acceleration steps, he charges forward and delivers a powerful front paw strike, leaving the caribou no time to escape. As the bear stood over the carcass, breathing evenly in the cold wind, the brief hunt revealed an astonishing flexibility. When the seas ran dry of food, polar bears adapted to survive. On the calm ice of the Arctic Ocean, an adult seal is making its way up to the breathing hole. It carries more than 100,000 calories of energy that can feed a polar bear for a week. Although it is fast and agile underwater, its life depends on the tiny breathing holes in the thick ice. Not far away, a polar bear stands motionless behind a snow berm. It has smelled the seal from under the ice. Its sense of smell is so sensitive that it can detect the breath from the wind blowing. The bear keeps low, avoiding the wind so as not to reveal its scent, patiently waiting. It can stand still for hours without a single unnecessary movement. When the seal surfaced the next time, the moment only lasted 1 to 2 seconds. The bear suddenly gathered strength, rushing straight towards the ice hole. A clean, precise attack, utilizing his entire body weight of nearly 1,200 pounds. The ice trembled slightly, water splashed, and silence returned. In the thin frost, the polar bear raised its head. Its breath evaporated in white mist. A successful meal, but not enough to make up for the rapid thaw that shortened the hunting season. Here, one small mistake could mean weeks of starvation on the drift ice. In the vast ocean, orcas are not merely predators, but symbols of strategy and collective intelligence. From icy waters to temperate zones, they appear as an organized and calculated force. Each encounter is not simply a chase, but a precise interplay of memory, roles, and timing. In this world, strength doesn't stand alone. It is always accompanied by strategy. Spanning almost every ocean on Earth, from frigid waters around 32 degrees Fahrenheit to temperate coastal seas, orca whales have survived and adapted. They are not limited by a single climate or coastline. This vast distribution reflects exceptional adaptability, forged from intelligence and cooperation rather than simply size. Orcas live in close-knit family groups that can last a lifetime. Each pod develops a unique vocal system, creating an acoustic identity that allows members to recognize each other in the vast and ever-changing ocean. Communication is constant and precise, strengthening bonds and coordinating movement. Their daily survival depends on long-term spatial memory and seasonal hunting maps passed down through generations. In each cooperative hunt, roles are clearly assigned. For orcas, the ocean is more than just a habitat. It became a shared strategic space, organized by memory, moment, and trust. In the open ocean, dolphins maintain a fast and steady pace. Their speed can exceed 20 miles per hour, and their sonar system allows them to sense their surroundings accurately. In the open, this agility seems to be their advantage. However, when orcas appear, the rhythm of their movements changes. They don't accelerate hastily but deploy a calculated formation. One group applies pressure from behind, causing the dolphins to veer off course. The other group silently blocks the front, narrowing the escape route. The distance is shortened step by step. A collision from their bodies is enough to unbalance the target in the water. The orca formation immediately closes. The confrontation ends quickly, before speed can make a significant difference. In the vast ocean, agility is still important. But in the decisive moment, coordination and collective calculation are the factors that determine the outcome. Amidst the silent ice floes, Arctic seals rest as if the ocean has temporarily receded. A mature individual can weigh 550 to 600 pounds, with a thick layer of fat storing vital energy. This reserve makes them a frequent target for orca groups specializing in hunting marine mammals. Orcas don't charge directly into the ice. They line up, maintaining equal distance. Several individuals simultaneously flap their tails, creating a powerful wave toward their target. If the ice is still firm, they push from below before creating a second wave. The target isn't a direct collision, but rather a tilting of the surface to dislodge the prey. Once the seal falls into the water, the advantage shifts immediately. Orcas close the formation and control the surrounding space. The hunt ends quickly. A young individual observes, then participates in controlled capture and release exercises. This is not just a hunting technique. It's a cultural behavior passed down through generations. In the harsh, icy environment, collective knowledge becomes a crucial factor in long-term survival. Great white sharks are one of the ocean's most formidable predators. An adult can weigh between 4,800 and 5,000 pounds, with an estimated bite force of over 20,000 pounds per square inch. They are capable of detecting bioelectrical signals emitted by prey, transforming the dark water into a precise sensory space. When confronting an opponent, orcas don't approach directly. They move in formation, maintaining distance and coordinating their movements. Low-frequency sounds are used to disrupt the shark's senses. At the right moment, one individual closes in and flips its opponent over, creating a temporary state of immobility called tonic immobility. In that state, the shark is almost completely unable to react. Orcas focus on the liver, its most energy-rich organ. The encounter ends quickly. The individual strength of a shark cannot withstand organized, coordinated tactics. In the vast ocean, advantage doesn't belong solely to the one with the stronger bite. Victory belongs to the species that knows how to calculate, assign roles, and leverage collective understanding. In that world, strategy can transcend individual strength. In the deep ocean, humpback whales emerge, exceeding 50 feet in length and weighing nearly 80,000 pounds. Their massive bodies and powerful tails allow them to control the surrounding space with decisive splashes. When their calf is nearby, the mother whale maintains close proximity, creating a tight, protective circle in the vast ocean. Orcas don't approach directly. They move in arcs, alternately closing in and then retreating, forcing the whale to constantly adjust its swimming direction. Their target isn't the adult body, but the calf. When the formation is tight enough and the distance narrows, they try to separate the calf from the protective circle. The confrontation is prolonged with constantly changing rhythms. The mother whale maintains a defensive position and uses her tail to create distance. But if the calf is isolated for even a brief moment, the orca will take advantage of the opportunity to control the situation. In the vast ocean environment, size brings power. However, collective strategy can still create a decisive advantage. In Antarctica, where temperatures often drop below 0 degrees Fahrenheit, penguins congregate on sea ice to rest and breed. A single individual can be about 3 feet tall and weigh nearly 80 pounds. Unable to fly, they swim nearly 20 miles per hour underwater, their black and white plumage providing camouflage from both above and below. When orcas appear, the water begins to churn in circles. They coordinate to create large waves to crack or tilt the ice flow. A frightened individual dives through a narrow gap and submerges to avoid pursuit. The orca formation adjusts its course, but the distance isn't always close enough. After several escapes, that individual swims toward a nearby ship and jumps onto the deck to find a less risky spot. The hunt doesn't end with complete control. In this harsh environment, survival depends on split-second decisions. Orcas demonstrate collective strategy, while penguins rely on reflexes and chance. Not every hunt ends the same way. Sea lions often congregate along rocky shorelines, where the ebb and flow of the tides create temporary respite from the deep ocean. Juveniles move more slowly and rely on elevated positions to avoid danger. On calm water, they appear safe as long as the waves haven't changed direction. Orcas don't wait offshore. They calculate the tidal rhythm and wave direction. When the time is right, an individual accelerates and lunges halfway onto the shore, using the force of the water to propel it. A misstep of just a few seconds can leave it stranded, so every movement must be precise. If a juvenile is swept off the edge of the rocks, the rear guard immediately takes control of the area. The hunt ends quickly before the tide recedes. This is learned behavior, passed down through generations. In the transitional zone between sea and land, skill and experience determine success. From icy waters to rocky shores, each encounter reflects a strategic system honed over generations. Orcas rely not only on physical strength, but also on memory, roles, and precise coordination. The ocean thus becomes a space of calculation and patience, where small deviations can change the entire course of events. In that world, the longest surviving are those who understand their limits and utilize collective strength at the right time.